he agrees
Hello?
with that?
Hey, buddy, it's Jim and Matt. How you doing?
What's up, Dana?
Hey, guys. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. We want to start with, obviously, the most important story is that video of that kid asking for tickets. First of all, have you responded to him, and can I have his tickets?
Yeah, so he ended up getting tickets. His father is taking $100 a week out of his paycheck to buy the pay for the room and the flight and all the other stuff. So yes, I gave him tickets.
Oh, that's great though. His dad's making him work for it a little bit. Maybe not pay full price, but his dad's trying to teach him if you want something, you got to work for it. That's really great.
Absolutely.
Well, how old is the kid? The kid's not 25 or nothing, right? He's
How
a
old
young
is
kid.
he? He's 52.
He's a high school kid.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, also, we'll start with the obvious. Conor Khabib, at what point did you know this was actually cemented and was going to happen?
We knew the day before the press conference.
And you filmed the video, and I guess it was very limited on a need-to-know basis?
What do you mean?
Because it didn't leak. Like, that video got shown, and nobody knew that was happening.
Yeah. No, it didn't leak. It's a tough thing to do in this business, but we did it.
Yeah, I think that's a very tough matchup for Conor. I mean, I respect. He has to take it to fight back for the title, but I really respect him for taking this as his first fight back in 2 years.
See, and I think it's funny to say this because, of how popular he is and what a huge star he is, but I think Conor McGregor is one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. Every time Conor McGregor comes out to fight somebody new, and it's a wrestler or it's whatever, everybody, this is the fight that Conor's going to lose. He said that he would knock out Jose Aldo the way he did it and as fast. He said he would do it in the first round. And if you look at Jose Aldo's career, what a stud that guy is, what he's accomplished, and again, people were counting him out again. He took all of those huge shots, that night from Jeremy Stevens, right? Takes and then finishes him with a body shot in the first round.
Incredible.
A lot of people picked him to lose against Eddie Alvarez because of Eddie Alvarez's style in wrestling.
That's right.
And you look how he looked there. When Chad Mendes, leading up to the fight when he ended up fighting Chad Mendes, Chad Mendes was a wrestler. Everybody believed that he would do that. Then after he won, everybody said, well, Chad Mendes didn't have enough time to train for it. And the list goes on and on. I think because Conor is so popular and his personality and everything, I think he's completely underrated.
Well, I said that before, that I would actually be tempted to take Conor in a first round knockout, because I think that as the fight goes on, it's tougher because Khabib is going to get a hold of him sooner or later. And no disrespect to Chad Mendes, but Khabib is not Chad Mendes. But I do think Conor has a shot in the first or second round. As the fight goes on, though, I think that becomes very tough.
Yeah, and this is one of those fights that I believe if Khabib runs at Conor the way he does a lot of these other guys to get the takedown, he's in big trouble. And I think that if Conor gets underneath Khabib, he's in big trouble.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I'm also excited about hearing about the styles make fights. I like the announcement of Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier because there's no way that could be a boring fight. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I don't know if Nate Diaz has ever been in a boring fight.
No, exactly. Let me ask you, because I heard that when you showed the promo for the Khabib versus Conor fight, Nate got upset and walked out. What happened there?
I don't know. I don't have anything to do with that. Listen, I'm literally sitting in the matchmaking room right now. We come in here every Tuesday for a matchmaking meeting, and then we're in here 3-4 hours a day just looking at the walls and putting together fights. And we offer both the Diaz brothers fights all the time. I know Nate said that we don't, but if we didn't, Matt, you're a UFC fighter. You've been under contract. I'm obligated to offer you 3 fights a year, unless you're, retired or we know you're injured and you have a date that you're coming back. We offer everybody 3 fights a year. Okay, a minimum of 3 fights a year, and he's been offered 3 fights a year for however long it's been, or more. Yeah. Since he's fought, and if he says no, that's up to him. I make fights. That's what I do. This machine continues to roll. We continue to make fights. We continue to do what we do. And, one of my guys here loves the Diaz brothers, and he pushed hard to try to get this fight done and worked with Nate. So that's his deal, not mine.
Well, I love that. Well, first of all, I love that freaking matchup versus Dustin Poirier, because Dustin's been looking phenomenal lately, and I just think styles make fights. I'm looking forward to that personally.
Me too. I like it. It's a great fight. Much respect to Eddie Alvarez. The guys. Not Eddie. I'm sorry. To Dustin Poirier. He's ranked number 3 in the world, and Nate Diaz at the time was ranked number 10. And, for him to take a fight like that, and Dustin's a stud. Much respect to him.
And we just talked to TJ, who is so great. And, there's talk about, is he going to fight Cejudo? Henry called him out. They're going to fight at 125. We talked to TJ. TJ said that would be an easy fight for him. What about Moraes? I mean, what's next for him? Does he have a shot at getting TJ next?
Yeah. Talking about Marlon?
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, that's an incredible fight with those two. But yeah, I don't know. We haven't. Tomorrow's the first day that we'll get together and really start talking about fights coming off the weekend.
Do you have any update on Demetrius's health?
I do not. I heard that he thought he hurt his foot, and I don't know though.
Okay, and how about and Max Holloway? How is he doing? He's indicated that he is feeling a lot better and he's on the mend. But what do you guys know about how he's doing?
Yeah, I came out and said I'm going to give him more time. I'd like to see him take some more time and everything else. He hit me up and said, "Please don't give me more time, please. I want to fight now. I want to fight everybody. I want to fight." So I need to talk to him this week.
And Ortega had said essentially that you were kind of pissed off or in a bad mood when you met with him after 226, after he didn't accept that fight when Holloway had to withdraw. So then later he said you guys talked and to reach an agreement.
Yeah, I wasn't in a bad mood or anything like that. Basically they came in and met with me and said we want to be paid the full amount of the purse that we're supposed to be paid. And I said, yeah, that's not how this works. You didn't fight. We held up our end of the bargain. We got you a fight. Things happened.
Sure.
That neither of us could control. But we made another fight. Jeremy Stevens was ready, willing, and able to fight, and they turned down the fight. So that isn't how that works.
I believe in a contract. What's it called? Is it called a force majeure or something like that? Like a force of nature? It's something that's beyond anybody's control. If that happens, certain things are null and void. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, but we've always been fair to guys.
Sure.
If and girls, if things happen, we take care of people. But at the end of the day, if we offer you a fight and you still don't want to fight, that's a whole nother ballgame.
And Stipe had expressed some frustration that he was not going to get the next title shot to fight the rematch, and he said he felt very disrespected. He wouldn't accept a fight unless it was a title. What do you think is next for Stipe?
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know why Stipe always feels like we're disrespecting him, which we're not. We have a lot of respect for Stipe, and I think he feels like it took him a very long time to get his title shot. And he felt it took longer than it should have, and then once he got it, I mean, it just every time I turn around, he feels disrespected. He's anything but disrespected, complete opposite. So I don't know. We'll see how that. I mean, obviously, you saw that we set up the fight with Cormier to fight Brock. So that would have been Stipe.
Sure.
Had Stipe won the fight. So it's nothing. It's not no disrespect to Stipe. It was just something that was in place before that fight even happened.
Right, Brock was going to fight the champion. Now, Eddie Alvarez had talked about fighting out his contract against Poirier. Now, he lost that fight. What's his contract status, and do you guys really want to keep him? I mean, he's another guy who's never in a boring or shitty fight.
Yeah, no, I like Eddie Alvarez. I like him personally, and I like him professionally. And, he's at an age now where, he needs to make some decisions for his family and for what will probably be the last contract he signs for the rest of his career.
Right.
So, I'm in a place, if Eddie wants to go somewhere else and try it, I'm cool with that. But if Eddie wants to stay, I'd keep him here too. I told him that. I told him, listen, if you want to finish your career with me, I would like that. And if you want to finish your career somewhere else, I have no problem with that either, man. This is when guys get to the point where it's the last contract they'll ever sign. I understand.
You understand that they're going to do what's best for financially, sure.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, what we're looking for here are young guys that want to be world champions, young guys that know they can be a world champion in the UFC, or girls that know they can be a world champion in the UFC. And if you feel that you can't be, and you feel that there's a better decision that you could make at this point in your career for the last contract you'll ever sign, I absolutely understand that.
How impressive was this Kevin Holland? Again, taking the fight on short notice against just a beast like Thiago Santos, and not only going the distance, but really keeping it entertaining. And it looked like he was going out a couple of times, and he finds a way to stay in a fight.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that if this kid had the proper time to train and wouldn't have been so gassed in that third round, he's a talented guy. I wasn't very impressed with him on the Contender Series. I felt like he talked too much, but that's his style. Listen, when it comes time to throw down, that kid was a stud. So much respect. We're going to keep him, and we're going to give him the right amount of time to train and another fight.
Do you mean he talked too much during the fight, or
during the fight? He's in there talking and fucking around. If you watch the Contender Series, man, straight killers. These guys come in and they're all business and they're serious, and that's what I like. I'm into that. That's my thing. And he was goofing around too much. There was no doubt that he was talented. But you're coming in and you're looking for a contract, man. You're looking to get your shot. You want to talk? Talk to me after the fucking fight. Don't talk to me during the fight.
Sure.
I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know how good you are. I don't know anything about you. Show me who you are. Then if you're that talented and you want to come into the UFC and you're so good that you can actually talk during a fucking fight, knock yourself out. You know what I mean? But he absolutely proved himself on Saturday night.
And true to your word, you did take Colby to visit President Trump. He's been kind of pushing for that. I know you have a relationship with Trump, and you could bring the host of Unfiltered to meet the president. That'd be kind of nice of you. How did that trip come together, and how did those two get along? What did they say to each other?
They got along. President Trump has always been great to me. He's a big fan of the UFC. And, I brought him in and they talked. They took pictures. He signed his hat for him, and it was fun. Then from there, we're doing, it's the 25th anniversary of the UFC. And we're doing 25 documentaries with 25 badass directors for the 25th anniversary. And one of them is the story of how President Trump let us come to the Taj for the first fight. So he and I went to the residence after that, and he and I both shot for the documentary. Then I went back to the hotel, picked up my wife, and we came back and had dinner with the president.
Wow.
In the residence, yeah. We had dinner for 3 hours, and then he personally toured my wife and I around the White House.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really fun.
It's so crazy.
It was incredible. And we saw everything. We literally saw the entire White House, every inch of it, every room, it was incredible.
What a fun day.
And that fight, that was 2001 at that Taj, because I fought on that, I believe, right?
You did.
Yeah, that's so
That's right.
crazy.
Yep.
So hopefully,
that's right. So at that time, what a lot of people don't realize is no venues wanted the UFC.
I remember.
They didn't want it. Yeah. So at the time, President Trump reached out and said, "Love to have you at the Taj." Cut a great deal with me, and that started our relationship. Then he showed up to the first fight and stayed to the last fight. Both fights that we had at the Taj. Then we left there and went to the Meadowlands, and he showed up to those fights too.
I remember that. I was at that fight. That's too funny. I remember like yesterday, ages ago.
And Dana, now what happened with? We also wanted to ask you. You made the Tyrant against Darren Till, at 228, and you're going to strip Colby of his interim belt. What happened there?
Oh, nothing. I mean, we did the interim title because when you do the interim then fights the champion. Well, Colby isn't ready to fight the champion, so, much like what happened in the fight with, Khabib and them, when the first punch was thrown, Conor was then stripped from the title. Same thing will happen. And GSP.
Okay.
Same thing happened with GSP and now Colby.
What do you mean he's not ready to fight the champ? He's hurt or mentally not ready?
Yeah, he just had some type of surgery.
Oh, okay.
On his nose. He did some type of, I guess he had problems breathing.
Okay.
He had bad sinus problems.
Sure.
So it's something that he, decided to take care of. It wasn't a surgery that had to be done. It wasn't a net like he fucking tore his labrum or, torn bicep or something like that or ACL. It was a surgery that it was an elective surgery that he decided he wanted to have now.
Yeah, so, sinus reconstruction. It opens you up a little bit. He probably, it helps you breathe really from broken noses and stuff.
So you're saying he could have took some Sudafed and still have his interim belt, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. He could have waited to do that surgery and he could have fought Woodley.
Let me ask you, too. After 226, you said Ngannou's ego played a part. That was very interesting because he does it seem like he was afraid of getting knocked out, and he admitted he underestimated Stipe. What do you think he needs to do to get his head straight? Because this could be the beginning of a downward spiral for a guy like that, or he could stop the bleeding if he gets his head right.
Who's this?
Ngannou. Francis, you had said his ego played a part in his losses.
Yeah. Francis Ngannou at the time that he was coming up, I believe this guy was going to be the guy, was going to be the heavyweight champion. And he lost his mind. This guy completely lost his mind and started to act, I don't know, in a way that you just don't act. And I completely saw it coming. That Stipe was, obviously Francis Ngannou is a massive, strong, hard-hitting guy. Anything can happen when he gets in there. But, Stipe has this thing where you said it at the beginning of the call, he feels completely disrespected. This guy's always on fire and pissed off at the world and pissed off at us. And so I saw that coming. I knew he was going to be. Francis Ngannou left the training center here, where he had trained for previous fights, took off to France, was in France, training or doing whatever he was doing leading up to the Stipe fight because he absolutely positively knew he was going to beat Stipe.
Wow.
Well, what about the next fight with the Black Beast? I mean, nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, well, nobody saw that fight would be so bad.
Whew.
But as you could tell, both guys were gun shy.
Yep.
The Beast said his back was messed up during that fight and whatever, but I don't know. Ngannou has a lot of, I don't know, man. He's got a lot of things he needs to fix personally and professionally to see if he ever gets back on track again.
And, look, there's been a saga between the UFC and Ben Askren, who he retired from MMA at 33. Past issues aside, would you ever consider bringing him into the UFC, considering he's still basically not too far from his prime?
I'm sorry. Who is it again?
Ben Askren.
Oh, Ben Askren. No,
Yeah.
Ben Askren is under contract.
Still.
Ben Askren hit me up a few months ago and said, what are the odds that we could talk about me getting into the UFC? And I said, we can absolutely talk about it. And I had him, I said, you need to send me a letter before I even talk to you or meet with you or do anything. I need a letter saying that you're a free agent and that you're able to whatever. And he's not a free agent. He's not a free agent. He's under contract with ONE FC. And, he's going to have to go fulfill his contract with them.
Okay.
Before I would even meet with him or talk to him.
Now, you also talked recently about Zuffa Boxing, and you're going to make a ballsy move pretty soon. And Zuffa created a new league. It's going to own. It will own and control. You're not going to work with WBA, WBC, IBF, IBO, or WBO. So what is it that's going to be happening with Zuffa Boxing?
Yeah, we're this is one of those things I said I'm going to put my toe in. I'm not diving in head first.
Okay.
So we're still working on stuff. So and yes, when the time, a lot of things didn't line up the way that I thought they would in the boxing world when I said we're about to make a ballsy move.
Okay.
The thing kind of took a left turn, and so it wasn't. I wasn't able to make an offer on that deal yet. But when that deal does happen, and when it comes, when it happens, I'm gonna jump in.
And by the way, I love at MSG you have Derek Brunson, Israel Adesanya. That's an incredible fight.
Love that fight. Me too. Love that fight. We felt that was a great fight to make. And Israel right now, Derek is ranked number 6. Israel's number 9. And I love that they both wanted this fight. I love that they both don't like each other. And I look forward to seeing that one.
And is Poirier Diaz the main event for MSG or no?
No, it's co-main.
Okay. Have you announced the main yet?
We have not.
Okay. And Cowboy Mike Perry is another great fight to put together.
Yeah, I love that one too. Yeah, we've been, the end of the year's coming, and the end of the year always, for some reason, ends up to line up incredible fights. So, we've been in this room here building incredible cards for the rest of it. I mean, from last weekend till the end of the year, every one of these cards are awesome. Yeah,
there's no bad cards at all. We read the list of fights this morning, and it's just great fight after great fight after great fight. Also, any word now on Amanda Nunes against Cyborg? That's been talked about. I know that Ketlin Vieira has already got a fight lined up, so she's not fighting Amanda. Anything with those guys?
Fight to make. Yep, it's the fight we're going to make. It's the fight to make. It's the fight that the fans want to see. It's the fight that has to happen, and it's the fight that we got to get done.
Okay, and you are working on making that happen. Now, what about, before we let you go, Lyoto Machida has said that the UFC did match the offer, but he's a man of his word and already given his word to somebody else. Is that true?
Yeah. No, he's one of those guys. I love Lyoto Machida. He's such a good guy. I loved having him fight in the UFC and be a part of the UFC. And it's one of those things that I just explained to you a minute ago. This is the last contract he'll ever sign. And, fighting is a young man's game. And, that's the deal he wanted to do. And I wish him all the best. I love the guy. I wish him and his family nothing but the best.
All right. Well, that was what'd you say, Chris?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Dana. I'm sorry to jump in. The Alexander Gustafsson, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on with him leading into UFC 227, where he was supposed to fight Oezdemir. Oezdemir got hurt. Then Anthony Smith challenged him, and then he got Gustafsson said that he had a minor injury. What's the status with Gustafsson?
Yeah, it wasn't a minor injury. He had a serious injury to his hamstring. Oh. So. He doesn't have to do surgery. He's doing physical therapy, and that we're hoping he can come back before the end of the year. So, yeah, he was hurt, legitimate injury, and he's working on it. We're trying to get him in before the end of the year.
All right. Well, it's great talking to you as always. Matt and I are looking forward to our White House invitation. The three of us will take a trip like friends. We'll all have some laughs, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy. Okay?
Thank you, Dana.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care, man.
Later, buddy.
That's great. Really great. I didn't realize that those two had talked. Him and Ben Askren had talked.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't realize that either. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
A great episode.
So much exciting stuff.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, TJ. And thank you, Henry.